Well, that game got out of hand in a hurry. Avs lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2 in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Alex Newhook!
Oh boy.
Whoa!
The Avs really just played one disaster of a period in this game, and honestly, the entirety of the game, the Avs didn't play that badly. They just made the massive mistakes, the type of mistakes that you simply just can't make and expect to win a hockey game, especially a hockey game at the Stanley Cup level. We will get to all of those, but we have to start with the first period, and the first 10 minutes of this game were just great hockey from the Avs. They played extremely well. They scored the first goal of the game. It unfortunately gets called back because the play was offside. No argument here. They took a look at it. Play was offside. Is what it is. Those are the rules. Just going to move on. The Avs show great resilience. They don't let that offside takeaway goal affect them, and they come back, get a power play, and they score the first goal of the game again. Don't need to break this down for you. This is McKinnon carrying the puck in on the power play. He drops it to the wing like always. Landy gets in deep, creates space for Makar, and the Avs are off to the races here. Makar is going to go over to Rantanen. Rantanen puts this puck on net. A lot of negatives in this game. Rantanen putting the puck on net isn't one of them. When he's shooting, things are often better. There were times where he didn't shoot, but he did enough of it tonight to make you feel comfortable. He puts this one towards Vasi, and Landy's just going to outwork everyone to get to the right spot. He's going to take a cross-check here, but stay on his feet, find the puck behind Vasilevsky, and score the goal. The Avs have continued, even after this game where they got a ton of goals scored on them, to be better about scoring the dirty ones, the greasy ones. The Avs are better at that than Tampa Bay is. It needs to stay that way going forward if the Avs want to win this thing. So you're feeling pretty good right there. The Avs have started well. You're feeling it even though they're on the road. Everything is going according to plan. And then you get into the second half of the period, and Tampa Bay starts to push back, and the Avs just make two massive mistakes. The first one is on Darcy Kuemper. At the end of a Tampa power play, Devon Toews throws a shot on net, but it's low and off the pad, so it ricochets out hard, which does spring Tampa a little bit. You get into this awkward situation where both McKinnon and Landy commit to the puck, but they don't play it well, so they're stuck and out of this play. They should still be reasonably okay here. The problem is you have coming in from the side here Alex Newhook, and you really need Newhook to step in and be a part of this play, as both defenders are dealing with this up-the-wall rush, and even then, this wasn't defended super well. You needed Devon Toews to get back better there and help Cale Makar out. As Makar took Maroon, you really needed Toews to be in better position to prevent Cirelli from having a clean path to the net. With that being said, Cirelli doesn't make a great play here. He really does nothing with this puck and just floats it towards Kemper's 5-hole, and Kuemper just doesn't make a good save at all. Not sure what he's doing with his stick there. That's just bad. Kuemper was nowhere near good enough in this game. Anyone making an argument other than that is just wrong. Let's start with that. But it's more than just one player's fault here, because on every goal following this one, Kuemper gets absolutely hung out to dry. This one he needs to have, 100%. And you'd like him to bail the Avs out, maybe on some of these other goals that are coming. But every single player on the Avalanche is responsible for this loss. Every single player on the ice could have done multiple things better at any given time. And I'm not placing all of the blame on all of these goals on Darcy Kuemper. Yes, you need him to be better, but as you'll see, you also need the defense to defend the slot literally at all. Tampa's second goal, which comes less than 2 minutes later, starts with a turnover and ends with missed coverage. When you see Devon Toews do this, alarm bells should be going off in your head. I mean, Devon Toews never does that. That is just a brutal play. No idea what he was trying to do with that puck, but what that wasn't even close. Just a bad turnover top to bottom there, and then the problems get compounded. The Avs should be okay here. This is a 2-on-2 in the zone, and Mikko is back to prevent any third man late coming in. The problem is, as the Avs both defend man-on-man here, Mikko has the third man, and Tampa does a good job. Give them credit. They run a little bit of a weave here. They switch up their men, and Mikko just doesn't do a good job of recognizing the situation. Cale Makar, the deep defender, is going to take the deep man. Devon Toews is going to step up and continue taking the puck, and Palat's going to cut around into the back door. Mikko sees him, or he should see him, but he just doesn't react. He just commits fully into no man's land here. Stamkos immediately recognizes it, gets it across, and suddenly Palat has the puck with no one anywhere near him. He's not being defended inside the lower hash marks. That's ridiculous. This is the highest percentage scoring area on the ice, and Palat beats Kemper from there, of course. I think you look at that play and you very easily know the Avs are capable of better than that. It's not very often that you see Devon Toews just lose a puck and throw it to nobody. And that's where the play sits at the end of the first period. Tampa up 2-1. Not great from the Avs, but if they got those mistakes out of their system and played well the rest of the game, you feel pretty comfortable here. The problem is in the second period, the Avs just kept making the big mistake. It wasn't a horrible period on the whole. The Avs played some decent offense. They even at times played some decent defense, but then they would just completely fall apart and give Tampa a grade A chance and fail to stop it. Less than 90 seconds into the second period is when you knew the Avs might be in trouble. This is probably the most egregious one of the night as a dumped-in puck comes around after the Avs lost a defensive zone faceoff. Josh Manson has full clean possession of the puck. He bobbles it once, but is able to recover it. He has full clean possession again, has a perfectly good option from Jack Johnson. Could go behind his net and would be just fine there. There's a wild miscommunication between at least Helm and Manson, and maybe Jack Johnson too. Someone needs to be talking here and let Manson know what his options are, because what he does simply isn't an option. I'm not really sure what Helm is doing here. He was skating right at Manson and then peels off behind the net, which doesn't make a ton of sense because, again, Jack Johnson is still your behind the net option. Manson definitely thought that Helm was going to the corner and he could be an option for him there. And that's not what happens. Helm, I genuinely don't know what he's doing still at that point. So when Manson drops it to nobody, it's directly possession to Tampa Bay, and things fall apart even worse from here. With the turnover, the Avs just completely panic. Helm immediately skates toward the man with the puck. Logan O'Connor immediately skates towards the man with the puck. Jack Johnson at this point, who thought the puck was going to come his way and he was going to be up and out, is now in no man's land. Manson behind his man behind the net, and no one taking the man coming down the middle. Tampa has multiple options completely uncovered. One, because of a horrible breakdown, and two, because of the Avs' reaction to that breakdown. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong here, and even then, Kemper actually puts himself in decent position to make this save, and it still just gets through him. That one hurts, but the game is definitely not over at that point. It's still a 2-goal game, and the Avs do push back well afterward, stepping into it, getting some good shifts, eventually drawing another power play, and then converting again. You have to admit, while this was a competitive game still, the Avs didn't quit. They kept pushing against Tampa Bay. You once again have the McKinnon zone entry on the power play here. This time he's dropping it to Mikko on the right side instead of Landy on the left side. Mikko gets it in significantly deeper, and this frees up Cale to have a ton more room. Cale can do whatever he wants working from here. He decides to slow it down a little bit and give it to Landy, and from here, Tampa basically said, look, Landy, beat us. Beat us with a shot from out there, and Landy says, okay, I will beat you from a shot out there. So now you're back to 3-2, and I'm not going to say that the Avs deserve better in this game because all 3 goals against are absolutely their own creation. They did this to themselves, but it's pretty easy to see how this game could have gone a very different way with a few minor changes. The problem is the Avs just couldn't get out of their own way with this comeback. They just could not figure it out. They were too scrambled in the defensive zone, and they kept making the same mistake over and over. Of all the dudes in the league that you don't want to leave alone directly in front of your goaltender, Stamkos has to be in the top 10, maybe even the top 5. Part of what's so frustrating about these errors from the Avs is that many of them come from situations that shouldn't be dangerous. The Avs are totally fine here. This is a 3-on-3 at worst. Really, the Avs are fully back defensively here. This should not be an aggressive opportunity for Tampa Bay. Now, this puck comes in on Kemper. He puts it to the corner nicely. He creates a puck battle opportunity for the Avs, and EJ just gets beat on it, and you get a massive breakdown. Rantanen is a high forward here. It's not his man. He's pretty much in the clear here. He needs to get back out up high, especially with a potential puck coming up the boards back to the blue line here. Lehkonen also should be on the higher forward side here, but he could make a read because JT Compher is committing to the puck carrier here. So you can see the problem. With them two with them putting 2 men on the puck carrier. That leaves Devon Toews to take the man in front, and with Rantanen staying on the boards, Stamkos is now a problem. You either need a better read from JT Compher to recognize that as the center on this line with the way they're playing it, he needs to recognize the third man and take him, or you need a read from Lehkonen to know that JT Compher is going for the double team, and he now needs to defend the center of the ice to not let Stamkos move into it. As Stamkos steps into it, Compher, now halfway to the man, realizes, oh no, I've made a terrible mistake, and catches himself in no man's land, and Lehkonen just doesn't realize the situation quick enough, and so isn't there to cover Stamkos, and is in fact backing off and looking for a puck back to the blue line. Compher, as a last-ditch effort, tries to intercept this puck, but he fails to do so, and all of a sudden Steven Stamkos is alone in front of your net at the hash marks. Yeah, you're not asking any goalie in the league to save that puck consistently. At that point, it was pretty clear that the Avs just didn't have whatever it was they needed working in the defensive zone to stop Tampa tonight. And it's not a significant fix. You can look at all 4 of these goals that have been scored by Tampa so far and go, yeah, very obvious. Don't let the guy in the middle of the ice be wide open. It's not a complicated issue, so it's not one that I expect to continue in any significant way. But it's also something that the Avs just have to be better at, full stop. The wheels pretty much came off after that, as a few minutes later, the Avs give up another goal. A weird one for the Avs here. You see a puck get dumped all the way in, and the Avs ultimately, I guess, go for a weird change here. Really, even though Kemper does move this puck up somewhat quickly, this shouldn't have been that dangerous of a change. But as the puck gets rifled up the ice, the problem here is they somehow have given up a 2-on-1 on this side of the ice to EJ, but more importantly, the Avs get beat off of the bench here as well. You have Cale Makar coming back, but he can't commit to helping EJ in this 2-on-1 situation because the third man in is also a Tampa guy. I'm not sure what happened on this change for the Avs, but that's an easy fix and needs to be cleaned up right away. So the Avs are in a super awkward spot where you're asking EJ to defend 2 players, and not just any 2 players, but yeah, that's Nikita Kucherov. You know this isn't going to go well for him. Kucherov drops it down to Maroon, and honestly, EJ does what he can here. Makar did a good job covering his guy. They didn't really give Maroon any other options. Val, unfortunately, a little bit late on the back check here. And Maroon cuts in, goes to his backhand, and just tries to beat Kemper short side. And this is a tough one, because Kemper gets a lot of this puck. It hits him in the blocker, and pretty square, and he just kind of takes a tough one as it rolls all the way up his arm and into the top of the net. It's another goal that's not great by Darcy Kemper to give up. It's one you'd like to see him stop, but ultimately one that didn't matter nearly as much as the earlier ones in this game. The one at the beginning of the game, the first one Kemper's got to stop. The other 3, the Avs just need to be better as a whole, top to bottom, every single player on the ice. With the game out of hand, the Avs start doing goony stuff. They give Tampa a power play, and Corey Perry scores 1 more goal just so we get them all here. Nothing to really break down on this one. A shot is going to come from out high from Hedman. It redirects on the way in, goes through Frankie's 5-hole, then hits off the post, and it's Perry the first one to find it and finish. That was your 6-2 final. The third period happened. The Avs were pretty goony about it, the same way Tampa was goony in Game 2. Didn't really have a significant effect on anything, in my opinion. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Kucherov and Nick Paul both got hurt and went down the tunnel in this game. The Nick Paul hit was a nothing hit. He just fell down to the ice and for some reason seemed to have hurt his leg. It was very unclear what it was and didn't seem to be significant. And the Kucherov hit was physical, but 1, there was a penalty called on it, even though I believe it was clean. And 2, while Kucherov did get hurt, he wasn't hurt enough to not go chase after Toews after the hit happened. This is also ignoring the fact that Manson got crushed into the boards shortly before those plays, and you got plenty of goony stuff from Tampa's side in this game too, including Corey Perry giving a little shot to Darcy Kemper. Ultimately, I'm not a huge fan of the goony stuff. It's just not the side of hockey that I enjoy very much, but it is what it is, and you're moving on to Game 4 at this point. I am willing to bet a lot of money that Game 3 was the Avs' worst game of the series, by a good margin. And I can see why everyone would be extremely frustrated with the Avs after this game, because everyone knows they're capable of playing so much better than that. And it wasn't just on the defensive end making brutal mistakes, it was on the forward side too. They had a number of grade A chances that they just didn't finish, the first and foremost of which were JT Compher with 2 opportunities at different times in the game on the backhand, and he failed to score into a mostly open net on both of them. So yes, I'm sure there are comments here that are saying X player needs to be better, and the answer is yes. Doesn't matter who you put as the player. Every single Avs player is better than what they showed in this game. Even Gabe Landeskog scored 2 goals, but at the same time had multiple terrible executions coming up the ice, making horrible passes that just prevented the Avs from being an effective hockey team. This loss, this game right here, first of all, it's why you play 7-game series in the NHL playoffs, because teams have bad nights. You don't award the cup off of a single game, you award it off of an entire series of play. And more importantly, this is why the Avs won the first 2 games at home, and why that matters, because they dropped Game 3. Yeah, tough. They can play better. They will play better, and they still lead the series 2-1. Tampa's not going to roll over and die. Everyone on the planet knows they're an unbelievably good hockey team. They're going for their 3rd Stanley Cup in a row. The Avs are going to have to earn it, and they didn't play well enough to earn it in Game 3. It's that simple. I don't know how Game 4 goes ultimately, but you can bet your bottom dollar the Avs will play better than they did in this game. Will that be good enough? We'll just have to wait and see. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. Head on over to thednvr.com for all of our coverage. I am Rudo, and it's just 1 loss. You don't have to hit the panic buttons yet. I know every loss feels like the end of the world, but the Avs are still 2 wins away, and Tampa is still 3 wins away.